Hey, my loves. Welcome to this episode of Adulting with Ebony. Now, this is going to be the last episode of season 7 for various reasons, which I will go on to explain in a moment. This is very meta. When I recorded this episode, I believed it was going to be about half an hour. It's actually about an hour and a half. So, what I've done is I have asked the beautiful Kelly, my producer, to cut it into 3 episodes for you. So, what you're about to watch or listen to will be cut into 3 parts. And without further ado, now that you have an explanation of that, here's me.
You are listening to Adulting with Ebony. Season 7 brings together neurodiversity, human design, and embodiment so that Gen X or millennial misfits and late diagnosed neurospices become empowered, embodied, and fully expressed. This is the show where I actively encourage you to feel your feelings rather than think them. Glow up, not grow up, and become full of yourself. Because who the fuck else should you be full of? Each week, I have real and raw conversations about what it takes to be fully resourced and have happy, healthy, intimate relationships as a dopamine-deficient adult wanting to create a better future by being the change that you want to see in the world. I am your host, Ebony Allard, aka Ebony Alchemy, a late diagnosed ADHDer, combined type and Asperger's in case you like specifics, artist, mystic, and self-actualization facilitator. I'm an international award-winning multiple brain integration technique master coach with special interest in embodied human design for neurodivergence. I've been in the personal development, creativity, and entrepreneurship spaces all of my life, and as a 5/2 emotional manifesting generator with a left angle cross of distraction, I am here to help you know what to trust and what to tune out. Each week, I share relatable, practical ways that mean you get to take less responsibility for more reward and safely remove your camouflage for more belonging, acceptance, and fulfillment. Ready? Let's go.
So, I have news. This episode is actually going to be the final episode of season 7, and then I'm going to take a little break over the summer and we'll be back in a while. Haven't decided when, with season 8. And over the summer, we are going to put together a roundup of the best bits of season 2 so that you have something to listen to while I am gone and that you can binge some of the older episodes and the cherry kind of picked ones, because there are so many. And that means that if you are new around here, you will get to hear something probably a little bit different. And if you've been around a while, maybe you get to re-listen and be like, oh wow, that's changed. So yeah, we're going to put together some of those. We did it in the middle of this season, and the feedback was that you really enjoyed it. So we're going to do some more. And I was planning on doing 2 or 3 more episodes and ending on my birthday, but for various reasons, and I'm going to be really candid, people rescheduled, and then I haven't been able to find a time that works for both of us to have them come. So I did promise you, I think, a few more Embody Your Design episodes, and they will come in later seasons. And I could have scrabbled about in the background and made it happen. And in the interest of me embodying my design more and actually really leaning into it's okay to change my mind, it's okay to pivot, like those things, it's really important for me to be walking my talk on that and modeling rather than posturing that. So this is going to be the last episode of season 7 and for a little while. And don't worry, you haven't missed out if you are a reflector. I'm going to bring a reflector on and we will do an Embody Your Design episode with them. There are some treats I have in store, just not yet, so subscribe. And actually, mini pause for water. I turn 44 on the 23rd of July, and I have a favor, a request, if you like. If you have enjoyed any of the episodes over the last 7 seasons, if you are listening to this, if you would like to show your appreciation for the content that I create, I would absolutely love it if you would rate, review, subscribe, and share an episode. Now, the first reason for that is words of affirmation are my love language, and it would mean a lot to me if you'd slide into my inbox and say some nice things. But more importantly, on a strategic level, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you are listening on Apple, please rate and review. If you are on Spotify, then please follow the podcast. If you're anywhere else, do the do for that place so that the algorithm gods understand that this is important content and that you are enjoying it. And then please share an episode so that we can get some new people coming in and listening and watching and engaging with Adulting with Ebony. And the point of Adulting with Ebony from the beginning has very much been about being a healthy, happy adult and balancing responsibility and wildness, right? Like doing the right thing, being a good human, and also like having fun, and how to come from your adult rather than your shadow or your child or your tender or hurt bits, and not to make them, not to get rid of them. I'm not interested in eradicating any of you. I want all of you. I want you to be full of yourself. But I do want us to integrate, right? Which is totally different from suppressing or trying to get rid of. And that's very much what all of my work is about, right? Affirming your true nature. And they call me Ebony Alchemy rather than Ebony Allard, or I'm also known as Ebony Alchemy because this work that we're doing is energetic alchemy. When we integrate our parts, we are changing the form of energy from shit into gold, right? And what I thought I'd do for this episode as a kind of birthday episode is give you 44 life lessons in no particular order. Some of these are Ebonyisms, and I'm going to make sure that there's a blog with all of these on as well, so that if there's a little bit more nuance I want to add, that I can do that for you. And you never know, my wonderful producer Kelly might even chop these up into little Ebonyisms, and you might get some of them another time. Who knows? But I have made a list of 44. And I am going to keep it as concise as I can while I go through them so that this isn't a hugely long episode. And I actually would love your feedback. So in the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 episodes, we've run a bit longer. We've gone to like 40 minutes, sometimes even 45. So they've been about 10 minutes longer than they used to be. And I'd love your feedback on that. Yeah, again, like find me on Instagram, send me an email, drop me a note, WhatsApp me, whatever is good for you. Let me know how you're feeling about the length of the podcast, because I make this content for you and I would love to know. But I am going to speed through them. As an aside, probably every single one is going to come with a story because, I am a storyteller, Gaines. Sun in gate 56, which if I had somebody in Embodied Design say to me recently, oh, but you're so lucky your sun is in gate 56. It's like, that is not how I felt for many years, right? When I was kicked out in the corridor at school for talking and telling stories, when people used to tell me that I was an exaggerator, when people would say that I lied or I didn't tell the truth, or all sorts of things, right? It's been a lot of work for me to alchemize my sun. And I've been watching the Blacklist from the beginning. Again, I love the Blacklist. I'm a big fan for many, many reasons. But I have a client who's writing a series of books at the moment, and I keep telling her to watch it as research, and she started watching it as research. And so now I'm watching it again from the beginning because it's one of my favorite shows, and I've been through all of the shows that I watch on repeat. I wanted something cozy and comfortable to watch again from the beginning, and the Blacklist is one of those for me. Anyway, I'm kind of worried that I'm Raymond Reddington. Got a story for everything. I say I'm kind of worried. I'm not really. I just, I'm not saying I'm an international criminal, but, I wouldn't mind being him a little bit. And he does go on. And Maybe you think I do go on and maybe you enjoy it. Who knows? But this is going to be one of those episodes where I probably give you a little story and a little quip about each one of these things. I have a list. So if I'm looking down, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm looking at my list and then I will go through them. Like I say, I'm going to go through them as concisely as I can. And then we will make a blog that goes with this. That might take a little time to get together. But once it's together, we'll also put a link somewhere near the show notes so that you can click through and read a bit more. Okay, let's begin. Life lesson number 1 from my 44 years on the planet as I, level up into level 44. Number 1, become a ninja. What do I mean by that? Well, what I see a lot of people wanting to do is to remove the obstacles from their life. And if you've been in my world for any length of time, you will know that I am not interested in helping you to remove the obstacles from your life because, and we'll get to why later, it's not actually helpful, right? Living a life and teaching you to remove the obstacles in your life is not what I want for you. That's not going to help you enjoy your life. It's not going to help you feel like you are able to enjoy whatever life throws at you. Whereas if we instead train you to be a ninja, then no matter what comes your way, if your focus is on training to be a ninja rather than removing the obstacles, you get to go over and or through, you get to bounce off things, you get to ricochet into different parts, you get to have an adventure. So the first lesson is don't focus on the obstacles. Instead, focus on becoming a ninja. 2, business washing up. Okay, now I have been talking about business washing up since I started my business, or since I started working with other people on their businesses about 10 or 11 years ago. And business washing up is this idea that you have a never ending to-do list, right? That there is always something else to do. And I liken that to washing up. How many times have you done the washing up and then someone comes in with a teaspoon or a cup or something and then puts it down, and there's just always more washing up? And you could very easily be washing up all day, particularly if you have a big family. You could be standing at the sink washing up all day and you could go to bed thinking about the washing up. You could get very, very stressed about the washing up. Or you could just recognize that it's washing up and that there are certain times of the day that you do it. And you could make a rule in your house about the washing up. So you could say, if we put it on the side, or we put it in the sink, or it gets done at the end of the day, or it gets done first thing, or whatever it is, right? You make a rule for the washing up for your sanity, and you agree on those rules so that it doesn't irritate everybody. Let's play this into business, emails or to-do list, right? There is always going to be more. There's always going to be more. And so you can either spend your entire life responding to emails and your to-do list, or reacting to it, or being, stressed by it, go to sleep dreaming about it, think about it constantly, or you can make some rules around it. So if you've ever sent me an email, you would have had an autoresponder that says, I hate email, and I'm at the beach. And I check my emails once a day. I have a look at them. I see if there's anything urgent or fun. And then everything else gets dealt with on a Monday. And if I don't get through it on a Monday, then I get through it the next time, and no one's going to die if I don't do my emails. So that is a rule. And what I've learned since embodying human design, or really studying human design, is that this is particularly applicable to those of us with an open or undefined root center, because those with a root center are much more in their own rhythm of things, and they don't feel that same sense of pressure. And if you have a defined root, let us know. There may be some conditioning there about societal pressure about being professional or getting it done. But if you've got an undefined root or an open root center, then what happens is we feel like we will only be able to relieve ourselves of a sense of pressure once everything's done. But if everything is never going to be done, then that sense of pressure is never going to go, which means that we get to take back our power and choose to not let the thing give us a sense of pressure. Got it? Okay, number 3. Okay, so number 3 is don't go to the butcher for flowers. And if you have the Manual of Me, you will, which is it's a beautiful leather-bound book I made a couple of years ago. It's like having me in your pocket for 10 years for the price of much, much less than that. It gets to be a place where you put all of your learning and development and personal growth notes, all of the things that you discover. It is your very own user manual. And it's like an operation manual, right? Like as you learn about yourself, you can put everything in there about how you tick, how you operate, what the best way to get the most out of you is. And then that can just be for your own records so that you come back to it. Or, so hairplay today, sorry. Or you can share it with someone that you love so that they get to understand you too. Now, and the main reason for having the Manual of Me is so that you, one, get to understand yourself on a deeper level from these things, but also so that all of the notes of you are in one beautiful book, one place, rather than lots of scrappy bits of paper. Anyway, I digress. The exercise about don't go to the butcher for flowers is about not expecting one person to meet all your needs and or going to the wrong person for the wrong thing. The basic premise is that if we want flowers, we go to a florist. We want sausages, we go to the butcher. And we wouldn't go to the butcher for flowers. And yet because we live in a kind of supermarket society where everything is now under one roof 24 hours and out of season, strawberries in December, anyone, we expect people to be able to do everything for us or meet all of our needs, which is not helpful. And yeah, we want specialists or to really meet needs rather than generalists, which are also good in their own time and in their own way. But when you want a specialist or you want something done really well, then you want to make sure that you're going to the right person. And so you get to manage your expectations, and also going to somebody and speaking louder doesn't help, right? Like if you're in Spain and you're speaking English and then you speak it louder and louder and louder, that is not going to win anyone any favors, right? Like either find someone who speaks English or speaks Spanish, right? Don't go to the butcher for flowers. Okay. Number 4 is eat the fucking watermelon. Now, this is something I haven't used for years as an expression, but I used to say it all of the time. You don't try and eat watermelon. If you try and eat watermelon, what happens is you end up with pips all down your front, juice everywhere, sticky big mess, right? You just go for it. You don't try and eat watermelon, you eat the fucking watermelon. You don't try and cross the road. If you try and cross the road, you're going to get run over. You cross the road. There's a level of conviction, there's a level of deciding that has to happen in life in order for you to succeed. So if you are still trying to do something in your life, get clear with yourself. Are you trying or are you doing it? Eat the fucking watermelon. 5 is take off your camouflage. Now, there are many situations in which your camouflage has kept you safe. It's camouflage for a reason, right? However, if you are surrounded by people who don't get you, if you feel misunderstood, if you feel unseen, if you just feel like you're really alone and nobody gets you, you have to take off your camouflage. Now, taking off your camouflage is akin to unmasking. And when I used this expression, take off your camouflage, many, many years ago, I had no idea that I was neurodivergent, and I had no idea that I was masking in certain situations. But I did come to understand that in order for me to find my people, I need to stop hiding. I need to stop pretending to be someone else. If I want my people to find me, I have to be me, and I have to allow them to see and discover who I am. Also, if you are pretending to be someone, if you're masking, if you're doing that 90s thing of wearing no makeup that takes however many hours and means that you have to wake up an hour and a half before your partner in the morning and like put makeup on so that that's how they see you, that is how they will expect you to be, and it's entirely unsustainable. And so what happens when we wear camouflage, when we wear makeup, when we mask who we are, is it becomes unsustainable, and then we wonder why people aren't meeting our needs, seeing us properly, etc., etc., etc. And then we leave and we end relationships. Intimacy is not possible when you're wearing camouflage. So we need to be able to get to a place where we can show our true colors, we can be barefaced, we can show up entirely as ourselves so that the right people can find us. Which leads me nicely to number 6, which is happy or right. Now, many, many years ago, I was at a T. Harv Eker day. Maybe some of you know it, Millionaire Mindset Intensive. And I learned a lot from that experience. I learned, in hindsight, a lot of things that were very unhelpful and sent me down a path that was not right for me for a very long time. Maybe that's a story for another day, but the exercise where we had to write down how much money we wanted, and I was still at that stage in my life, probably like a lot of you, where I just wrote some or more. I didn't care, just, more than what I have. But I wrote down a figure, and then the guy on stage said, if you've written less than 100,000, you are selfish. And I immediately felt very selfish. And when he explained that I was only thinking of myself, or I was only thinking of survival, and I wasn't thinking big enough, I really took that on. And there is something in that for sure. And also for my people and for us, telling us we're selfish is not actually helpful, because then we're already overgiving, we'll give even more, and then we'll end up resentful and taking too much responsibility for other people and not enough for ourselves is a big thing of my people. However, I told you I digress. However, what I did learn from that experience, which has actually been very, very helpful, and was something that was said to me a lot of different ways, but landed in that experience, is you can be right or you can be happy. And my instant response was, no, I want to be both. I want to be right and happy, because I am right. And again, since then, I've really learned about my own PDA profile and again, why so many of my clients have this experience of wanting to be right and happy. And so let me explain what it means. Sometimes being right is the pervasive drive, and that is stopping you from being happy. Now, if you were right and happy right now, you wouldn't need to do anything different. But if you are right but not happy, then you're getting in your own way. Then your saboteur is showing up in some way. There's a victim part or a shadow part of you, a child part, or there's a part of you that is more interested in being right than being happy. And that is an unhealthy piece of ego that isn't serving for you. Now, you get to be free. You get to follow your pervasive drive for autonomy, but needing to be right is getting in the way of you being happy. So allow yourself to maybe not know everything just for a minute so that you can be happy. And then you might find that right rearranges itself in your mind. Number 7 is all about holding two truths in the palm of one hand. Now, that is the definition of maven for me. Maven is actually an old Hebrew word, and it means expert by experience. And it also means being able to hold more than one truth in the palm of your hand. And for me, the most accurate way to really describe that is nuance. And we live in a world where perspective and nuance and holding two truths and becoming maven or operating from a place of maven is one of the most important and needed things. At the moment, we're really pitted up against each other. We're really there's a lot of very binary and very divisive thinking that does not leave space for nuance and doesn't allow for us to hold more than one truth. And there is more than one truth. And there are many, many examples of situations where you feel very strongly one way about something until it is you or your mum or someone you love, and then maybe your opinion changes and then you get to understand that there is nuance. Or maybe there's somebody who you have a very, very different opinion from about one thing, and so you decide that you can't have any relationship with them about anything, but actually on many other things you're very aligned. And again, this comes down to nuance and being maven and being able to hold more than one truth, and really understanding that the human experience is far more multi-layered and complex than binary and black and white. Number 8, dropping into your body. Now, what does this mean? Drop into your body, and dropping into your body as one of the most important life lessons is really, first of all, noticing when you're in your head, when you're disassociated, when you've checked out, when you're not in your body, when you're not feeling it. And so there are a couple of different ways to drop back into the body. And one of them is to, often I say stop, drop, breathe. And what I mean by that is actually like stopping, orienting to the here and now, because in the here and now, we are 99.9% of the time safe. And when we have disassociated or gone up into our head, we often in a place of dysregulation that is not helpful. And we are operating from a place of trauma response, right? And what I mean by that is fight, flight, freeze or fawn, rather than rest and digest, rather than action and purpose, rather than safe and social. So the stop is get back into the here and now. The drop is like notice where your attention is, where your energy is, and bring it down into the body, right? So at this precise moment, as I'm doing this, I have brought my attention all the way down through my body and my feet, where before maybe my toes were slightly off the floor, my feet are now flat on the floor. The soles of my feet, the toes of my feet, the pads of my feet, the heels of my feet, both sides of my feet are in contact with the floor, and I can feel the floor giving them support. So I am now dropped into my body. I can allow my belly to soften. I can allow my shoulders to drop and my shoulder blades to widen. That is what I mean by drop into the body. And then breathe is just to really become aware. Like, are you holding your breath in? Are you holding your breath out? What is going on with your breath? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Breathe. It's not to do anything with your breath. But if we find ourselves overwhelmed, if we find ourselves frozen, the best thing that we can do is stop, drop, and breathe.